I was on the wrong page. I was on my personal page, and who couldn't use some personal growth and development out of all of my friends? But I had to switch over and get on the right group for the Facebook page for all of us. So anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and get started today and let you guys all know. Let me mute everybody over here just to make sure. That I am super excited about doing this chapter with all of you today because it's on chapter 11 in our book club, and it's relationships influence your talent. And it is, you guys, packed with so much information, so much good information that I know we know, but I want us to use this time. You guys, that's what's so great about these book clubs and just books that we read, but book clubs, because we get challenged by people in a way to think differently. Because I will tell you what I always say about reading a book on your own is we a lot of times read that book and we like talk to ourselves as we read that book, and we don't say the right things to ourselves. We all know that, right? We all know that we say things that we should not say to ourselves and that we would never say to a friend of ours. And that's what we do whenever we read our own book. We're like, well, yeah, that's how those people are. And those people can do those things, but I can't because of this, or this. And so what I love is I love being on these calls with you and having somebody speak to you the way that you should be hearing it, and challenge those thoughts so that you can reprogram your thinking into a way that it will benefit you and help you really maximize your talent. And so these book clubs, I think, are so powerful. Even though people go, yeah, I read my books and everything, I think it's better when you have somebody going, but are you thinking and saying this when you read that? Or are you thinking and saying this to yourself? Because this is what you need to be saying. So thank you for joining me and being here and challenging your thinking so that you can grow. And chapter 11 is relationships influence your talent. And you guys, I'm going to read the first paragraph just because we always do. In his book, My Personal Best, John Wooden writes, there is a choice you have to make in everything you do. So keep in mind that in the end, the choice you make makes you. Nowhere is there more evidence than in your relationships. Nothing will influence your talent as much as the important relationships in your life. Surround yourself with people who add value, encourage you, and your talent will go in a positive direction. Spend time with people who constantly drain you, pull you in the wrong direction, or try to knock you down, and it will be almost impossible for your talent to take flight. People can trace the successes and failures in their lives to their most significant relationships. And you guys, I want you to look at that where it says, if you surround yourself with people who add value and encourage you. So look at your relationships, the people you spend the most time with. And that's another reason why you need to hang out in this group more often, and why we say staying connected in Arbonne is so important. Because if you don't, when you do, you're going to have people that are not just letting you be right where you always have been. You're going to be with people that are adding value to you and encouraging you and challenging you to grow, which is going to help you achieve more than you ever would have achieved without it, those people in your life. And I will tell you, as I look back, not just in Arbonne, you guys, I want all of you, as a challenge to yourself, look back over your life and think about the people you've had influence your life. Ask yourself, who is it that has influenced you, and how have they influenced you? I am absolutely where I am at today because of people, valuable people, and that have influenced my talent and helped me see things sometimes that I couldn't even see about myself in myself until they showed it to me. That's why I am where I'm at. What have your relationships done to you up until this point? And most importantly, today. Who are the people you spend the most time with today? And what are they doing to you as far as influencing your talent? Are they helping you believe in yourself and add value to you, and mirror who you can be instead of accepting who you look like you are right now? I love the story of the movie Walk the Line, and his example or explanation of how June Carter was for Johnny Cash. And you guys, it is absolutely the most amazing description when her stepdaughter Roseanne Cash described who June Cash was in at her funeral. And you guys, Johnny Cash, you know, I don't know if you guys have read this or whatever, but I mean, he was very talented. Obviously, he's famous, but he was addicted to drugs, and instantly got addicted more than once in his life, and even tried to commit suicide. And his mom and June Cash were the ones that helped pull him out of that addiction both times, and he was able to rise above it because of the people that helped to surround him and influence him in the ability to manage his addiction. But I love how Roseanne Cash described June Cash, and she said that in her eyes there were two kinds of people to June Cash in this world: those she knew and loved, and those she didn't know and loved. And you guys, you know what? I mean, at the risk of always trying to not sound prideful, but I love that way. And you guys know, I always say love is the greatest gift of all. Not that I said that, that's what God says, but it is absolutely the way I try to live my life. And I tell people, I love you. And sometimes I know they look at me kind of funny and they're like, you don't even know me. But I'm like, but I love you. Like my heart loves, because you know why? God loves me and he loves all of you. And if he loves you, I can love you. And I need to love you just because he loves you. And that's how we do it. We don't love people because we decide they're lovable. Because you know what, guys? We're not always lovable, number one. But number two, people are not always going to be lovable. But if we love them, especially when they're unlovable, that's whenever we get to show them who they can be instead of who they are currently being. And the rest of the world is saying, yep, that's who I knew you were. And in Arbonne, you guys, more than anything else we do in this journey, it's loving people to who they can be, not who you currently see. Because who you currently see is who the rest of their world has told them they can be and are. You are the person who's helping them see their best version. In my eyes, their God created version of themselves, to become all that he created them to be. And only will we help them see that if we love them whenever they're not even that lovable, and whenever they're not being their best. That's when we need to love them more. Now there's boundaries, and we need boundaries, but I will tell you what we need to learn how to do more than anything is not be afraid to love in this journey, and to love even whenever it's hard to love. And I have been challenged in that, you guys, and I'm so grateful, because that's one of the reasons I know God brought me to Arbonne, was because I do love people so well in this world. But in Arbonne, there have been people that have been brought into my life and my business. None of you, of course. And, but I didn't naturally love them. And for whatever reason, it was just kind of hard. And it blew my mind, you guys. It blew my mind, because I love people so easily and so big. And I was like, God, why can't I love this person so naturally? Because I hated that they could even, I knew that they could probably even feel it and see it, because people feel and see whether you love them genuinely or not. Are you genuine or not? And I had to work to figure out how to love them and see in them what God saw in them, to love them the way he loved them, because it wasn't in my flesh to love them naturally. And I have learned how to love hard people on this journey. I even had somebody this past week tell me that I'm confusing sometimes to people. And I want this to be a goal for you guys, that I confuse people sometimes because I love people that aren't being nice, that aren't being good in whoever's eyes that we are so, proud to judge. And you guys, I know what's right and what's not right. And it's not that I'm blind to what people do or don't do that's right or wrong, but I'm going to love them anyway, because if I don't love them whenever they're not on the right track, I'm not going to be there to try to help them hop that track and get back on the right track. And I'm just loving people. I never lower my standard. I never let excellence not be the goal, but I do love always. And especially whenever people are feeling extract or whatever, like whatever that word is, when they're being ostracized by other people. There's been leaders in this company, you guys, that people have ostracized because of their behavior. I mean, rightly so. But whenever I see them, they know that I'm a safe place for them to come back to and be with and talk to and love them, even when they know what their truth is. Everybody knows their own truth. So you guys, relationships are work. They're work. And I will tell you, the number one thing you can do for anyone and everyone, no matter what the relationship is love them. And you love them loud whenever they need to see it the most. And this is when you're going to get the best out of the people that you get to have an influence with. And you're going to have a lot of people in your life that come into this business, and you're going to be challenged to love them. But if you can figure out how to do this, you will raise people up to a level that they never ever would have gotten to without you. And more important, or just as important, you need to make sure you're hanging around the people that love you that way as well. Because you're never going to get to be your best if you don't do what June Carter did for Johnny Cash. She looked for the best in everyone, and it was a way of life for her. If you pointed out that a particular person was perhaps not totally deserving of her love and might in fact be somewhat of a lout, she would say, "Well, honey, we just have to lift him up." She was forever lifting people up. It took me a long time to understand that what she did when she lifted you up was to mirror the best parts of yourself back to you. She was like a spiritual detective. She saw into all your dark corners and deep recesses, saw your potential, saw your possible future, and the gifts you didn't know you possessed, and she lifted them up for you to see. She did it for all of us daily, continuously, but her great mission and passion were lifting up my dad. If being a wife were a corporation, June would have been the CEO. It was her most treasured role. She began every day by saying, "What can I do for you, John?" Her love filled up every room he was in, lighted every path he walked, and her devotion created a sacred, exhilarating place for them to live out their married life. My daddy has lost his dearest companion, his musical counterpart, his soulmate, and best friend. You guys, and he said June Carter made Johnny Cash a better man. He reached his potential as an artist and as a human being in a large part because of her influence. Do you all know that's what we all have had done for us? And what we get to turn around and serve and do others is help everybody reach their potential because we give them this safe place to be their best. And we challenge them. And so almost all of our sorrows can be traced to relationships with wrong people, and our joys to relationships with right people. So you guys, it's so important for everybody to really be awake and alert to what your relationships are in your life and what are they doing to you in your life so that you can maximize your potential. It says they made sure their influences, John's parents made sure they were around their kids, friends, and that they had their house be where everybody was so they could monitor the kids. And I know as parents, we've all tried to do that. We've learned that and do our best to try to make sure that our kids are surrounded by the right people. He said the direction relationships take us, the relationships in our lives really do make or break us. They add or they subtract, they lift us up or take us down, they help us give us energy or they take it away. And he said, here's what I mean. A couple of good ways to tell whether a relationship is positive or negative. He said, first, note whether a person makes you feel better or worse about yourself. So you guys literally think about at least 5 or 10 people you spend most of your time with, and then write down, do they make me feel positive or negative, plus sign or negative sign? 2, do they relate and second relates to how much energy the relationship requires. And this is huge, you guys, because you know what? When you have to invest a ton of energy into a relationship just to keep it from being volatile or stressful in any way, I mean, violence comes out in more than physical ways, you guys. People are violent with their words, their behavior, their attitudes. And you have to decide how much energy. I mean, honestly, I talk about Lindsay and Blake all the time because they're my kids and they get exposed to you guys all the time. Lindsay was so easy to be around. Blake drained me every day. That's why I have the life verse today, Galatians 6:9. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the right time you will reap a harvest. And today I'm in harvest mode with him because I did not grow weary in doing good and loving him whenever he was unlovable a lot of times. But his relationship drained me, Lindsay's built me up. And yes, he was a joy and I love him dearly. I mean, you guys probably think I don't even love him, but I love him special because of who he is. Um, but Les gives you this checklist, you guys. And he says it's a straightforward quiz that can help you on page 217 tell whether someone in your life is a negative person who takes energy away from you. And he says, answer yes or no to the following questions. And then at the end, if you answered yes to 10 or more of those questions, you are certainly in a high maintenance relationship. And you guys, all relationships take work. That's what I think. Like people, I have so many amazing relationships in my life because you know what? I work tirelessly to have them. I work to like just text people or let people know I'm praying for them in Arbonne and out of Arbonne. I don't just live in my Arbonne world and only take care of my Arbonne people because that's where it's going to benefit me financially. I work to have and keep. I just was texting as we were getting on this call, a friend of mine that's having a really hard day that is not doing Arbonne, but is a dear friend that needs love and prayers today on this special day. And that's what we have to do because they take work. If you want to be rich in relationships, and I will tell you, it's the only way you really get rich in life, be willing to invest the energy and the time, but make sure you're not in a relationship that sucks the life out of you. You can love that person still always, but you don't have to invest and spend time in that relationship if it's draining for you and you can't have it. Because some people have more capacity to do stuff than others. But he says, I don't mean to imply that only negative relationships require you to put energy into them. All relationships require it. He said, but don't cultivate and sustain those relationships, don't cultivate and sustain themselves. He said, question how much energy they require. Positive relationships will require a tremendous amount of energy in his life, include where you invest energy because you want to have that is your family, his inner circle of friends, your team, and then those that are less fortunate than he is. And he says, if a relationship requires you to expend energy some of the time, that's normal. If a relationship zaps your energy all of the time, then that relationship has a negative effect. And it dilutes your talent, you guys, by having it suck out the energy that you have that you could be investing in mastering your talent and improving and building on your talent, because it drains you of any energy. And it's why you sit there and you go, I can't even get off the sofa today, because you're just zapped emotionally and physically. I mean, emotional energy is the most draining energy you can have. And when you're in those kind of relationships, it just drains you and keeps you from being able to be the best, reach the full potential that you were created to have. It says it dilutes your talent because it robs you of the energy and that you could be using toward your gifts and talents, and distracts you from your purpose. It distracts from your best efforts, and in the long run, they can influence your talent. A negative relationship cannot influence your talent in the positive way. And it just, like I said, clutters your brain, prevents you from developing something positive. So some relationships clearly make you better. They energize, inspire, and validate us. They lift us up. They give us joy. We should consider the people in these relationship friends and value them highly. You guys, not long ago, he said he listed out type of people who add value to his life and give him energy. And again, he said his family. And not everybody, you guys, is blessed to have a family that gives you energy. Sometimes they drain your energy. But at some point, you have to know where your boundaries are with that, good and bad. Like, what is your responsibility in it? And that's next week's chapter, which is also so good. But what is your responsibility in your family to help take care of it? But also, where are your boundaries with it? And what do you need to do to keep you safe so that you don't let some of those family members that are draining you zap you of the energy you need to be developing your talent? So creative people, he says, man, they unleash creativity within me like no others. Successful people, I love to hear their stories. I do too, you guys. I love watching successful people. And can I tell you, successful people love telling their story, not because they're prideful in it. Successful, and I forget which author said that, but they talked about how success, when people get successful, they want to turn around and tell the world how they did it, because they honestly realize how simple it really was. And they know The world thinks success is so hard and so difficult that it's beyond what they can do, or they just didn't get the opportunity to be successful like somebody else. But successful people are like, no, it's not that hard. Let me tell you what I did, and this is it, and you can do it too. Let me show you how. And that's what successful people do. And that's why it's energizing to hang around successful people, and why I know Aristotle Onassis told our past president, Rita Davenport, that what he would do sooner in his life if he could do something different was hang around successful people sooner and more, because they drop more success tips in 15 minutes than an unsuccessful person does in a lifetime, for that very reason, you guys, because they know it wasn't that hard, and they want to give it to the world, because it's like, wow, I did it, you can have it too. And that's no more true in Arbonne than anywhere else in this world, you guys. Arbonne knows, the people that are successful in Arbonne knows it was hard work, but it was simple. Stop using somebody else's products. Start using Arbonne's products. Tell your world about it, and help them know how they can take advantage of Arbonne at whatever level they want to, in whatever way they want to, and love them right there. That's how I got successful. And it's how I continue to be successful today. That's why I want to tell the world how I did it, because you can have it too. So successful people, listen to their stories. They'll give you those tips that will help you. Encouraging people, encouragement is like oxygen to my soul. Fun people, laughter always lifts my spirit. I love it whenever I laugh till I cry. I love laughter, gives you energy. And I mean, whenever you are like peeing your pants because you're laughing so hard, or you're crying and because you're not 50, almost 3, and you don't have to pee your pants when you cry. Laugh. Enjoy that now, because you know what? It comes, but it's still awesome, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I laughed till I cried and almost peed my pants, and it's okay. Good thinkers, conversations with them are my favorite things. And I love getting together with people who like to think and strategize, and look at it from this angle and that angle, and everybody bring in their perspective, so that we get a full picture of what it can be and what it's going to require for it to become all that it can be. My team, they always add value to me. I love spending time with all of you guys. Learners, interested people are interesting people. Positive relationships take us to a higher level. They encourage us and bring out the best in us. They make us better than we otherwise would be. Without them, they are some of life's greatest gifts. He says there's a few relationships that are pivotal in your life, and become into who you are and what you do. And he said relationships go through 4 stages. And I thought this was so good too, you guys, because I know and have had all of these relationships. Surface relationships, you guys, he said it's like a clerk or acquaintances at church or the gym or whatever. You know them on the surface level because you kind of are in the same part of the world together at the same time. Structured relationships, those are people like you work with. They're like, you get to be with them because you're all doing the same thing at the same time. And it could be work, or like our kids' activities, whenever we're involved and we're like on this team, and you run around with these parents and these kids all the time. And then the third one is secure relationships. When a surface or a structured relationship grows, trust develops, and the people involved begin to want to spend time together, and it starts to develop a genuine personal relationship. And this is a level where you develop friendships. And you guys, that was how this friend that I text this morning, I met her through my kids, and we used to just do a structured thing together because our kids were together. But there was these relationships that came out of that. The friendship came out of that structured relationship. And then same in Arbonne, you guys, we are all together because of a structural environment. But then there's different relationships and friendships that build outside of that become more deep and intimate with this person versus somebody else. And it's not that everybody isn't, equally nice and stuff, but it's just like, you go through the same journey together at the same time. Like Linda Parker and I went through the same journey together at the same time. And we developed this friendship because we were in this structure together. And that's who you want to do, because they're going to be your partners in life. But you want to make sure it's people that are positive and that are influencing you in the right way. Because I know also in Arbonne, we talk about how you can tell 2 people that are in a negative world, and when they sit together, they're negative, and they're just talking about all the things that Arbonne isn't for them. and you will go down and you will not be in our bond very long because you talk each other out of it. And I always worry whenever I know there's two people like that, and then I see them start going and working a room and finding other people to try to draw into their camp. Because if you believe like I believe, then I must be right. And if you come join me, then we're more right, and we work to prove our bond wrong instead of proving our bond right. And you guys, I always warn people, you stay with people that are in the front of that room that are telling their story of how they did it, and you work to be around them, whether it's on a conference call like this, or whether it's at an event they're doing at GTC where people are going and they're excited. If you ever hear people go, I don't think I'm going to GTC, or I don't think I'm going to Impact, you know what? That's not who you want to hang around with, because those are not the people that are going the same place you're going with the same mindset that you need to have to go there. So be careful and work to hang around the people that are going to take you and secure those relationships so that you can do this journey together, because it's a blast. Solid relationships occur when a secure relationship build on their friendship and develop complete trust and an absolute confidentiality, and it can go to the solid relationship level. He said the relationships are long-term and characterized by mutual desire to give and serve one another. Your desire should be to cultivate the most important relationships in your life, your spouse, your best friends, and your inner circle. And you guys, so many of you are that for me. And I'm so grateful for the solid relationships. And I have the best relationships. Most of my best relationships, honestly, all of my best relationships are in Arbonne, outside of my family and this family. But I have, other relationships and friendships, but they don't do for me what all of you do for me. And that is why it's so great to live in the Arbonne world. But build your business while you're here with these great friendships, because you know what? If you don't, you guys, your friends outgrow you. And that's what happens in this journey, is that you can have these solid friendships and relationships, and we will always love these people, always. But if you don't grow with somebody at the same time, not that you're always right there at the same place together all the time, but if you're not growing together with them, they come over here and you're hanging out here. And even though you have this friendship and you have this love, you don't get to be as close because you're not working to grow as hard and fast as that other person is. And there's going to be people that they do life with because that's where they're going. And no one can stop them, nor should they, you guys, because we aren't reaching the more of our potential if we do let people hold us back and stop us. And it's just going to have to be natural that they spend more time with this group of people that are working and doing more of what they know they need to do to reach their potential than the people that are back here. And so please value the relationship enough to get in here and let each other be the iron that sharpens the iron that keeps you running in a pack, because we love these relationships, but we're not going to let anybody hold us back, because you guys, I'm here for one. And I know I can't stay and slow down or not do what I know I was put here to do and still here at the end of my journey. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. So I will love you always, but I want you to run with me so that we can grow together and all slide into heaven sideways and hear those amazing words. He says, if the dynamic becomes a lose-lose or a win-lose, the relationship is negative. Positive relationships are always overall a win-win. And I love that. Stephen Covey talks about that too. A win-loss is just as much of a loss as a loss-loss or lose-lose. A win-win is the only way to really win. So every now and then, he said, a relationship goes beyond solid and becomes significant, and a relationship that is pivotal in your life. And he talks about a guy who was his friend, who helped him do all that he could do, and was there for him whenever he had to have help and be lifted up. So you guys, 5 signs of a solid relationship, page 223. Relationships at the secure level validate us and help us become more comfortable with who we are and discover our gifts and talents. Our solid friends tell us the truth in a supportive way. They keep us grounded. And if we start to get off course, they help keep us on track. They encourage us when we're down and inspire us to go higher. A few solid relationships can make all the difference in where a talented person ends up in life. And he says, as you engage in relationships, try to find people with whom you can build solid relationships that are mutually beneficial. Here are some signs that a relationship is headed towards that level. Mutual enjoyment. I love this one, you guys. In solid relationships, people spend time together just for the enjoyment of being together. And I wrote on the side, Philip and I love just being with him. And it was just like John talked about him and Margaret. Like, I don't care if it's like chopping down trees in the woods and I chop my leg off almost. I just want to be wherever he is. I slept on this little tiny like mat at the hospital when he had open heart surgery. And I told myself I was just going to go home and sleep at home every night. And when I was up there, I didn't leave because you guys, I got told him, I was like, you know what? They were like, you go home, you go home. And I looked at Philip and they were all out of the room. And I was like, home is wherever you are for me. I just love being with him. And that is what home is for me. Who is that for you? Who is that person you just have that mutual enjoyment with, that you can be doing nothing special, but you love being together with them? 2, respect. When you value someone on the front end of your relationship, you earn respect on the back end. And you guys, that's what we do with everyone in this journey. No matter where you come in, from the youngest consultant to the most seasoned MVP in this company, value people, who they are, and help them see, like June Cash did, of who they can still become. And that will help you have and develop the respect that you need for them to let you pour into their life. If you don't value people and you only see their negative and you're so quick to point out their negative, believe me, they know what that is. They don't need somebody else to point out their negative. They know what that is, you guys. That's why they are where they are. Their world, parents don't mean to do things like this, but you guys, when your parents tell you, well, you know what, you're shy, you're never going to be able to do Arbonne. You know what? I don't need to tell somebody they're shy whenever they come into Arbonne. I need to tell somebody that it doesn't matter what your personality, this is what we do in Arbonne to get successful, and you can do it too. We don't need to help them see what the world has already been telling them. We need to help them see and the mirror of who they can be. And that is when you'd help develop great leaders. And again, you guys, the only reason I have the people in my business today is because I help them see what they did not even know they had in them when they started. And I help them develop that. There are people in my team that the rest of the world had said, this is who they are. I love how Shelly Nelson, I don't know if she's on here or not, but she's like, I was Becky Homecki. Well, you know what? No, you're an amazing leader that develops and raises up incredible children and inspires other people in Bible studies. You are a natural born leader that when you add and apply those skill sets and grow upon those skill sets with what you already know in Arbonne, you're going to help change lives at a bigger level and in a bigger way than you've ever been able to ever in your life before. That is what people, not that people didn't think Shelly was great before, but do you understand? Like, show people who they are. Don't validate what the world already knows about them. Arbonne, we get to become things that we never even knew we could, but only if somebody helps you see it first. Because if you can't see it, it's like when I take these glasses off, I can't see a thing. I could not read you a word off this page because I can't see it. People can't do Arbonne and grow into a leader in Arbonne that develops and promotes other leaders if they can't see it. The only way we help people grow in this business is we help them see what they can't see, because we help their vision clear out and see the future, not what they've been told. You guys, I cannot tell you how powerful this stuff is. And what I'm giving you will change your life and change your business for the better. Right here, as simple as it sounds. And as much as we can go, oh my gosh, I can't even read it sideways. As much as I can say, oh my gosh, you guys, this is, we know relationships influence our lives. We know from the, Bible, it says who you hang around, it matters. But do you know this about how this can apply to your business and what it can do to grow and develop you as leaders? Because if you get it, you will be a massive leader in this organization. So respect. Always Um, he said, respect is almost always built on difficult ground. He said, when do you respect people? He said, when you don't let obstacles and circumstances become more important to you than the relationship. Oh, I love that. You guys, relationships are hard, but you know what? I mean, and I have a relationship, and I can't say it because I have some little ears here today. That was the hardest relationship for me. And yet we have now developed such a respect that allows me to be a person in their life that lets them see who they can be and work to become more of that. It was not easy. It was built on difficult ground. Building people in this business is the hard part of getting successful in this business. And when the pressure is on and you still treat them with respect and patience, you guys, can you do that for somebody? Because you know what? When you do that for someone, what goes around comes around. You reap what you sow, more than you sow, later than you sow it. Sow well, not so well. Sow, S-O-W, well, so that you get back what you have invested in others. When the relationship is struggling and you are willing to work hard to protect it and preserve it, that was me and Blake Nelson. That is why we have the special love and relationship that we have today, because we worked hard to protect it and preserve it. And that's when you have proven worthy of others' respect. And he does respect me highly as his mother, because I did not let him be less on my watch. I loved him, but I never lowered my standard of excellence for his life. Respect is almost always built on difficult ground. Proverbs, the book of wisdom, teaches about the strength of relationships. And I love Proverbs, you guys. Friends are scarce. Friends will not jump ship when the going gets tough. Friends will be available for counsel. Friends will speak the truth to you. That is a friend. Friends will sharpen you. Friends will be sensitive to your feelings, and friends will stick with you. People who respect each other and build solid relationships enjoy all of these benefits of friendship. 3, shared experiences. Going through significant experience with another person creates a mutual bond. We all need others to lean on and to celebrate with. Shared experiences give us those opportunities. And you guys, that's what I was talking about again. Like, who are you tracking with? Who's in your group? Whose region right now that you want to go nation with? Whose area that you're working to go region with? Or maybe who's working as hard as you're working? You know, there's some people that do it at this level, and there's some people that are at the walk phase, the jog phase, the run phase, and the sprinting phase. You kind of get in a group no matter what level you're at. You run with the runners if you're a runner. And that's how you work in Arbonne. And you guys, I just want to say right here again, I've been telling everybody I get a chance to tell, this is a season, high season in Arbonne. Always a great season in Arbonne. This is high season in Arbonne. And you need to be sprinting in your business to take advantage of what can happen for your business that will carry you through times in your life when you need it most. Right now, work and run weary if you have to, but don't grow weary in the journey, because you will reap a harvest, I promise you. He says, the glory of friendship is not in the outstretched hand, nor the kindly smile, nor the joy of companionship. It is in the spiritual inspiration that comes to one when he discovers that someone else believes in him and is willing to trust him. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I love that, you guys. Again, that's Arbonne. That's how we get successful in Arbonne. We believe in people, and we trust that they can make good choices that will help them do what it is we've all done in this journey and get the same results we've all gotten. Yeah, let me see. Trying to see. Believe in people, love them where they're at. Yes. 4, trust. Trust is both a joy of relationships and a necessary component, you guys. And he says, in my book, Winning with People, I describe the bedrock principle, which says, trust is the foundation of any relationship. Nothing is more important in relationships. If you don't have trust, you don't have much of a relationship. So you guys, be trustworthy. 5, reciprocity. All relationships experience ebbs and flows. Sometimes one person is a primary giver, sometimes the other one is. But relationships that continue to be one-sided all the time will not remain solid. When they become out of balance, they become unstable and often unhealthy. a good relationship is when you're equally good, when both getting an equally good deal, and you're getting it. Whatever. Never mind. Forget. I'm not even know what I'm saying right here. Okay. Relationships that continue to be one-sided will not remain solid. Period. Friendships are like bank accounts. You cannot continue to draw on them without making deposits. I love that. Solid relationships must be beneficial to both parties. I think we got that. Okay. They're always a win-win. Okay. So that's it. Now we're on to the questions at the end. And you guys, they are so good. Number one, it says, identify the most important people in your life. And I wrote on there, stay connected to those people. Like those, after you've read this, you've learned this, you've evaluated this, you've made notes, like you truly, this is the main thing you have to do to protect your future and your potential. Work on this chapter, do the homework, like write down names, write down positive, negative, write down, go through that list of questions. Do they require more than 10 of these out of me? And do you need to limit your association, expand your association, or disassociate from people, but still love them? Because that's where you need in order for you to be able to grow. And maybe you guys, after you grow, sometimes you can go back to some of these relationships and spend a little more time with people, but it's because you've been able to grow and have what you need to have the energy to go back and still be able to be an influencer in their life. So identify those people and stay connected to them. 2, assess whether they're influencing you in the right direction. And then just go through those, you guys, because they're so good. I mean, I have this all written up and did my homework and know what relationships I have and which ones I want to continue to work to develop, and look forward to the ones that God has in store for me in the future. So, and I know it's going to be a lot because, oh, actually, no, that's not all of it. But anyway, I'll let you guys go because that wasn't the questions. Sorry. But anyway, we're on page 227, and there's all those things that he says. How does he or she behave toward me in difficult times? I do love this, and I will end with this, you guys. On page 228, he talks about how a friend who is influencing you in the right direction is slow to suspect, condemn, offend, expose, reprimand, belittle, demand, provoke, resent, but quick to trust, justify, defend, shield, forbear, appreciate, give, help, and forgive. And I do love that, you guys, because it is absolutely natural to want to do the other side and even feel like sometimes we're supposed to. But you guys, you know what? People know when they're not on the right track. We need to just help them see their best so that they can move to the right track. And when you get knocked down, good friends don't kick you while you're down and say, I told you so. They pick you up and they help you keep going. And I love that, you guys, because it's not easy not to say I told you so. Believe me, I would love to say that more than I do. But I work hard to not say I told you so and just help you see what it is you learned on that journey, but be there to love you and pick you back up so that we can keep moving down your journey to the best version of you. So I'll let you guys go, but he just says, life is too long and to spend it with people who pull you the wrong direction, and it's too short not to invest in others. Your relationships will define you, and they will influence your talent one way or the other. So choose wisely. So I love you guys. And next week is really, really good too, because it talks about responsibility. And I'm going to end the recording, but I do want to say, you guys,